Sperms. In the quiet suburbs of Portland, Oregon, warehouses looked perfect from the outside, but carried storms behind their walls. Lena Crawford believed she knew every part of her husband Daniel's soul, until the night she discovered something that made her question everything. And if you're watching this, scroll, because what she found next will shock you more than anything you've seen today. It all started on a cold Thursday evening, when Lena returned home early from her shift at the downtown bookstore. The sky was painted orange through the rain-soaked windows, and she noticed Daniel's car in the driveway, even though he had texted earlier saying he'd be working late again. She stepped inside quietly, feeling an uneasy chill crawl up her back because the house was dark and silent. The only light was coming from Daniel's home office upstairs, where she could hear faint whispers, oft emotional, almost intimate. She froze on the staircase, her heart pounding as Daniel's voice said, "I promise, I'm doing everything I can. She won't find out." Lena's blood ran cold because he had never spoken like that before. Never with that kind of fear mixed with protectiveness. Then, she heard a woman's voice reply, "We don't have much time," which hit Lena like a knife. Before she could think, before she could breathe, she heard Daniel's footsteps approaching. She slipped into the hallway shadow, watching him walk downstairs with his phone pressed to his chest, like it was something dangerous. When he finally saw her, he jolted, eyes wide, voice shaky as he said, "Lena, you're home, early, throw." There was something so off in his tone that Lena forced a smile and walked past him, pretending she didn't hear anything. Every second she spent near him that night felt like sitting next to a stranger. Daniel barely ate dinner, kept checking his phone, and stepped outside for air. He lied about small things he never lied about before, and by the time they went to bed, Lena was drowning in thoughts she couldn't say out loud. Thoughts of betrayal, secrets, maybe even another woman. That night she barely slept, staring at the ceiling while Daniel snored quietly beside her, like a man who had nothing to hide. The next morning, Lena decided she couldn't let it go. Not this time. After Daniel left supposedly for work, she followed him. She kept her distance as he drove past the freeway exit toward downtown. He drove past his office building completely, eventually turning toward southeast Portland, a rougher part of town where he had no business being. Finally parked behind an old red brick community center. It was the kind used for local meetings or support groups. Nothing like the sleek architecture Daniel usually liked. Lena watched him take a deep breath before going inside, his shoulders tense and his pace quick. Something told her this wasn't just a casual visit. After waiting a few minutes, she walked to the window and peeked inside. She expected to see him with another woman, maybe holding her hand, maybe confessing something. But what she saw instead made her spine tingle with confusion. Daniel was sitting with a group of strangers in a dimly lit room. There were posters on the wall about trauma, recovery, and addiction counseling. Lena felt her breath hitch as a counselor spoke softly. "Daniel, you said you were ready to share today." Daniel nodded, running his hands through his hair like he was carrying years of buried pain. Then he said something that shook Lena's entire world. "My wife doesn't know about my past. About what happened before I met her." Lena's heart cracked because she realized this was hinty. An affarit was a part of Daniel she never knew existed. She kept watching, unable to walk away. "Daniel," continued, voice trembling, "the woman I've been meeting. She's not who Lena thinks she is. She's connected to my past, life the one I fought to bury. I lied to protect Lena from the darkness I came from." The counselor nodded gently, saying, "Secrets don't protect love, Daniel. They poison it." Lena's chest tightened because she had always believed love was trust. Daniel then pulled out a small envelope and opened it, showing a photo of him from years ago, thinner, bruised, broken. The room fell silent before he whispered, "I was in an abusive relationship. She nearly destroyed me. I left everything behind to start over. But now, she's back," he said. At that moment, Lena felt her legs weaken, her heart pounding so loudly she was sure the people inside could hear it. She had never imagined Daniel carried such a past, such trauma, such pain. The mysterious woman he'd been talking to wasn't a lover, but a caseworker helping him gather evidence to file a legal restraining order. Lena felt tears fill her eyes. Daniel said, "I should tell my wife, but I'm scared she'll see me as damaged, or weak, or a man she can't rely on." Hearing that shattered Lena because she loved him more fiercely in that moment than she ever had before. Unable to stop herself, she pushed the door open. The room turned to her, Daniel freezing mid-sentence, his face draining of color as he whispered, "Lena, you're not supposed to be here." She walked toward him slowly, tears streaming as she said, "Why didn't you trust me with your pain?" Daniel stood, trembling, whispering back, "Because I didn't want you to love me less." Lena shook her head, cupping his face saying, "I love you more for surviving it." He broke down into her arms. The entire room silent with emotion as she held him tightly. That evening they went home together. Daniel finally revealed everything, how his ex had resurfaced, threatening to expose false stories about him, how he sought help to protect their marriage, how every lie he told was an attempt to shield her from the storm. Lena cried, Daniel cried, and they rebuilt the trust between them piece by piece. They realized the world outside may be harsh, but inside their home, they were safe together. And if you're still here listening, let this story remind you. Sometimes the secrets we think will destroy us reveal how strong love truly is. And if you want more emotional, suspense-filled American-style couple stories just like this, make sure you follow, like, and stay tuned. The next story I'm dropping will shock you even more than this one.